Do you like making things? Do you like to crochet, sew, paint, draw, write poetry in your notes app that no one will ever see, or make silly little videos online that range in topics from your cute outfit of the day to simulation theory? If so, me too, bestie, what's up? So I'm somewhat of a walking contradiction because I consider myself a content creator, and I also have an irrational hatred of the word content. It's vague. It can mean anything from filming an ad on a movie quality camera to vlogging your child's third birthday party. To be fair, at least with the former, the thing being viewed as an object is an actual object and not a child. Not gonna get into that right now. In part, I think one of the reasons why I don't love the phrase like content and why it gets under my skin is because in a lot of ways it's used as synonymous as basically a form of currency, if that makes sense. In a way, this is rational because it's the only word we currently have to describe the medium that is sharing things online. But it feels different than telling somebody that you're like a painter, right? Sure, you could be painting with acrylic or oil or watercolor and doing so in a variety of styles, but I still get the general understanding of what you do versus if you just say, I create content. You're a painter, you sit down with a blank canvas, some brushes and paint, you go through whatever process that you prefer, and voila, you have something that would not have existed without you. And then at the end, you have a thing that you could then take a picture of and use as content. And I think one of the reasons why that feels so reductive to say is because that same work of art and then a selfie you took the next day are both just tokens to an AI algorithm that doesn't understand exactly what it is that you posted. And we don't even completely understand that said algorithm, and yet we still try to appease it with our content. Our verbiage is reductionist because the platforms we interact on reduce what we make down to its bare essentials in order to either show it to millions of people or throw it in the metaphorical digital trash. And so now I can't even be mad at people for referring to their creativity as making content when no matter whatever they put into it, it all feels like putting a token in a digital slot machine. I've even caught myself doing it too. The last time I was really sick, I got this like stupid song in my head. Hold on, I'll just play it if I still have it. Everything is content. Everything that's cool must be put on a screen. Everything is content. Feel like I'm living in a dream. Damn. I even thought to myself, well, if I go to the hospital for this, at least it'll be good content. Hello? I have made exactly $0 from YouTube, $0 from Instagram, and minus a few digits from TikTok because yes, I did buy into those refundable sample things and made a couple of videos about it. Sue me. Apparently, peer pressure does work on me. So the fact that I'm already so brain-rotted as an aspiring creator online is a bit concerning. I don't know. I know this video is pretty personal in comparison to the other ones that I posted today, but this feels very personal to me. I had a discussion with my friend a month or two back about the difference between an influencer and a content creator. It was much too long of a conversation for me to try to recreate, but the important part was this. A content creator is someone who makes content first and tries to sell something to you second if they have to pay the bills. An influencer is someone who tries to sell something first and then makes content as a way to do that. On the surface, the line between the two can be easily blurred. Does a YouTuber I like become an influencer when they start taking sponsors in every video or placing as many ads as they can fit into 10 minutes? Does an influencer become a content creator when they start integrating products so flawlessly in their storytelling that I find I'm watching them to hear them talk instead of wanting to buy something? I think my conclusion in the time since this conversation has been the only way to define the line is to know their motivations behind what they post, which on a parasocial level is nearly impossible. But in terms of what it means for me and my own way of posting, it was comforting, because it means that I get to draw that line. And to be clear, I'm not saying that either is better than the other. It's a crazy world we live in, and anyone who can make a living without actively harming somebody is something I don't have a direct problem with. I just know which one I am when it comes to my own personal accounts and what I post. It's why I'm making this right now. Sitting here, sponsored only by the voices in my head. This video is brought to you by the voices in my head. I promise that they are not concerning in the slightest. Do not be worried. Instead, continue to listen and watch this video. There are no subliminal messages in this video. Do not try to find them. And even if they were, they would definitely be only for your own good. This message has been brought to you by the voices in my head. Thank you so much for watching. I want to make things because I like to make them, and because in a time where it's so impossibly easy to fall down a rabbit hole of doom scrolling, sometimes the only way to get my brain to fire up after I've ended the day before scrolling and started the next day doing the exact same thing but in reverse is to put myself on the other side of the screen, aka the camera. The silence while I sit in front of a camera allows for actual thoughts of my own to flow through my brain for the first time since I wake up, and it's refreshing. Honestly, this advice isn't for everybody, but it works for me. Sometimes I'll film myself talking to my phone, both as a way to keep my hands off of the infinite vortex of knowledge that's always threatening to pull me in, and so I can go back and observe my own thoughts externally. When my brain is numb and I can't retain a thought for longer than a few seconds, like the dopamine-addicted goldfish that I am, I will talk to my phone. I'll set it up and just talk. Sometimes for up to an hour at a time, and yes, my storage is almost full, don't worry about it. And then I'll listen back to myself and properly process everything I said. It's not for everybody, but it works for me. And yeah, I'm an only child, why do you ask? Part 2. So what does this have to do with me? You're probably asking. Well, possibly nothing, but only if you're the type of person that can leave their phone in the other room without thinking about it, or is able to always get to sleep at the same time every night without locking your own cellular device in a little box. But you, I think you're more like me. And that's why you're listening to this in the background rather than making eye contact with me. Well, don't look now. Now I know that you're looking and it's awkward. Go back to washing dishes or crafting or driving or whatever the hell you were doing. Ugh. Anyway, I know it might sound counterintuitive to be making a video encouraging you to put your device down, which, yeah, that it is, but I'm doing it anyway, so don't worry about that. Basically, I'm just making this as an excuse to shout to you that creativity is your most valuable resource, and it is exactly what companies are trying to take from you, so you substitute it with mindless consumption. We reverse that, repeat it again. Creativity is your most valuable resource, and it is exactly what companies are trying to take from you, so you replace it with mindless consumption. Who said that? That must have been the wind. That's crazy. But seriously, it's true. There are people out there whose entire job is to get you to look at your screen longer. That's something I simultaneously know is true, but I feel like I sound crazy whenever I say it for some reason. But every website, even an article that you click on, every offshoot platform of social media, they're all trying to get you to observe and consume what they have to show you for as long as they possibly can, regardless of what the consequences could be to you personally. If you fell asleep while watching a TikTok wouldn't know that. The AI algorithm would assume that whatever video that was must have been super interesting because it made you stay on the app so long. And before you know it, the videos that's pushed the hardest by the algorithm are hypnotists lulling people to sleep. Actually, I guess that's kind of what ASMR is. Anyway, I don't have time to talk about that. Anyway, it's the job of the algorithm of every platform you interact with to get you to interact more and pushes the most engaging and addicting content possible in front of your face. But often, what's the most addicting isn't the thing that actually fulfills you. Things that cause people to become addicted are things that leave you temporarily satisfied while you're consuming, but the effects wear off quickly enough you're always wanting to return for more. Scrolling, especially, is known for this, and I'm sure this is not news to you. There have been memes about social media being the one consuming you since it was cool to use Facebook. But more often than not, I hear people advising against this by simply saying to put the phone down and touch grass, which I've tried before, to little effect. It's not working. And I feel like telling people to simply stop harmful behavior is a little bit basic. And if it was helpful, a psychiatrist's visit would be reduced down to going to a clinic where they tell you to just stop being sad, and a doctor's visit would be someone taking your temperature and then telling you to just breathe normally and you'll be fine. Typically, when something becomes as big of a part of your life as scrolling on your phone is for most of us, it's because it's a comforting, easier alternative to something more fulfilling. There's nothing required of you when you scroll other than your eyes being open and your finger being able to move. Well, actually, there are even devices you can buy that literally click the screen for you, which, like, as a mobility aid, slay, love that. But most of the time, I see it advertised to people who have the ability to scroll. They just want to lay there and not even hold their phone while they do it. It's a little concerning. I don't feel good when I see those ads, man. Like when you see those AI ads of like those fake little kittens and you know someone's Facebook grandma fell for it. You know what I mean? Anyway, that's a whole different topic. Our brains are wired to follow the path of least resistance when possible, but that often results in falling down an infinite loop of pulling your phone out to check something, and on instinct, clicking on the fastest and easiest form of dopamine you can get, and before you know it, anywhere from 15 minutes to an hour have passed. We are handing over our time to companies who obviously value it so much that they are paying millions for it, and yet all we get in return is emotional whiplash. From seeing a video of your friend, and then a traumatic update on current events, and then an ad for a plastic thing that you don't actually need but kinda looks cool, a cute moment of a cat, a fitness person telling you to buy their course, and on 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 and on. Every swipe is a pull on a lottery machine of whether or not the next video could be the exact thing you needed to finally get your life together and understand the secrets of the universe. But at least in my experience, it never is. Part 3. So what do we do about it? Did you not read the title of the video before clicking? Okay, bold choice. We create things instead of just consuming things. Now, I know on the surface level that sounds like another unhelpful platitude, and that's because it is, but if we look at it more closely and give it room to add our own nuance, I think that there's more to it than just being a caption of an inspirational meme that's been screenshotted so many times it's nearly illegible. Consuming and creating are obviously on opposite ends of the scale, but admittedly, one often takes up more energy and brain power than the other. When I come home after my 45-minute commute after 8 hours of standing on my feet and smiling, my first instinct isn't to pick up my paintbrush. It's to flop in my horizontal comfort zone and open up my phone to see if anyone liked my TikTok today. But just because this is my habit, does that truly mean that it is actually the path of least resistance? Is it not possible I could engage my mind in other ways than expecting myself to create a masterpiece? Even if it's just throwing on a YouTube video and crocheting a gift for a friend, is that not more fulfilling in the long run? I'm not saying that time is only well spent when there's a finished product at the end of it. Not every moment has to be crammed with an act of creation or be presentable enough to whip out your camera and share it with the world. I just know that there are days in my past where I have done nothing. I have done nothing but scrolled and numbed myself down to an unrecognizable blob of myself. And on occasion, sometimes that's nice. Sometimes I don't want to be recognized. I want to be an unrecognizable blob, okay? And typically, those aren't the worst days of my life, but they are the easiest days to forget, because I spent the entire day without a single one of my own thoughts in my head. In a desperate attempt to run away from my own consciousness, I end up replacing my inner monologue with an outer one from people I will never know and who will never know me. They may be giving me advice about something that's completely irrelevant to me, they may be telling me a story I will forget in a day, or they may be ranting about their very personal revelations disguised as a video essay. But I convince myself it's a better way to spend my time than to take control of it. Creating something, anything, in its very nature is the opposite of that. You are taking control of your time. Sure, coloring in a coloring book might seem like a mind-numbing equivalent, but at least there is a concrete final goal that you are working towards. Drawing something no one will ever see or writing something no one will ever read doesn't mean it was worthless. It was the result of you flexing the synapses in your own mind, forcing them to work together rather than slowly forget how to work at all. Or maybe you do share it. Even if, when you make something, you reduce it down to content, if you mean it, then it has an opportunity for someone to finish your work by interacting with it. Yes, in a way, by posting this video and all the other videos I post, all I'm doing is becoming a different cog in the same machine. But this is the best thing I can think to do right now. And sure, creating and crafting and talking to a camera can be their own versions of disassociating from reality and procrastinating real life. Looking at me, as someone who has unironically used the word procrastinating at least a dozen times and mourns the loss of the queen that was Joanne's at least daily, I do get that. There are times I find myself waking up from a prolonged session of hyper-focusing on editing a video or painting something or crocheting till my hands hurt, and that moment feels similar to the moment when you look at the clock and realize you've been scrolling for an hour. It feels similar, but the result is often different. When I fix my shrimp posture and review all the work I've put into something tangible, even if I see mistakes or realize that the deadline I self-imposed is rapidly approaching, all those feelings stand on the steady foundation of knowing I am doing something. Even if my progress has to be erased and I have to start over, even if it ends up being something I donate, it could be something that I would be proud enough to give to a friend. It could be a token of me keeping a promise to myself that I would post 5 YouTube videos in one day or something crazy like that. And I don't know how to describe it objectively, honestly. The best thing I can tell you is that I feel fullness in my chest. I feel mental clarity even when I'm exhausted. And I feel like myself. Compare that to the moment I wake up from scrolling. When I've been mindlessly consuming, I often find myself having to scroll back up to remember the last 5 videos I watched and what the point of each even was. I often feel disgust or frustration that I let so much of my time be eaten by an entity that only cares about me as a single digit in a sea of consumers. I feel hollowed out from being a vessel of a stream of consciousness that is not mine. And yes, sometimes when my thoughts return, they still carry with them a snippet of what I watched earlier. A piece of advice or a new place to try or a funny moment that I can reference to my friends later. It's not all inherently bad. But I do know that after conducting an accidental experiment on myself over and over and over again, with the variable being creative versus being consumed, the clear winner in terms of my mental health and happiness overall is being creative. Conclusion. So should I just throw my phone in the river then? I mean, no, not unless you have beef with a particular fish and we're gonna replace it soon anyway. I'm not making this video as a holier-than-thou statement that you should never even open social media or YouTube or Netflix and only ever be using your time to create things. That sounds extremely capitalistic and gross. Ew. No, instead I'm trying to offer a solution to overconsumption. Not by just telling you to never open Instagram or click on YouTube Shorts and if you do, then you failed. But by suggesting that if you want to join me, I'm trying to find balance by adding more time and energy to the side of creating, and therefore working on bettering my life. Watching a movie with a loved one, or putting on a podcast or a YouTube video in the background while you do your laundry, or maybe even scrolling for a few minutes in a waiting room aren't the things that are killing your brain. And I know at least I will continue to do those things. I think that the main point of this video is to justify my own actions in making this channel. By creating this, by writing a script and recording and putting on makeup, I'm keeping a promise to myself. I'm pursuing a dream I've had literally since I was 12, and I'm offering what I have to share with the world to Schrodinger's possible audience. Let me know if you're a cat in a box and if you're alive in the comments below. Comment alive if you're alive and dead if you're dead. And you're Schrodinger's cat. Rather than replacing my thoughts and beliefs with someone else's, I'm making space for me to share my own. And yeah, a lot of them are going to be built on the foundation of things that other people have said before me, but that's human communication. There is no combination of words, I don't think, that I could say and come up with that are completely original. That's a concept no one has ever talked about, whatever. That's not what I'm trying to do. I want to make space for my own thoughts to return to me, and they can entangle and include other things. The same way that if I were to do a painting, I can be inspired by somebody's art style or even do a similar subject to them, but in the end, the brushstrokes were mine. And in creating something like this, something that isn't made for the sole purpose of getting as many clicks as possible or maximizing watch time, instead, this is a bid for connection. A door I'm opening for conversation to you and others that you can engage with if you want. I'm doing this because I think that if more of the things online were created with that mindset, maybe the other ideas of others we ingest to avoid thinking about our own will make us feel full instead of hollow. And yeah, it's harder than if I were to just be scrolling and not be required to think at all. But maybe it'll all be worth it if I encouraged even one person to create more. Maybe even if that one person is just me. Maybe. Not sure, I'll get back to you in like a year or so, I guess. Thank you so much for watching, holy fuck. If you enjoyed this ramble, please let me know by liking and subscribing down below where all those buttons and stuff are. This is the last of 5 videos I recorded to post for the official launch of my channel, which I plan to be posting on bi-weekly. Bi-weekly is in once every 2 weeks, not twice a week. I think I would perish. Anyway, check out my Patreon if you feel inclined. Right now, I think I'm going to be uploading more like ranty behind-the-scenes content, even more ranty than this, if you can believe it. But if you want to be a part of figuring out exactly what perks I will have on my Patreon, I would love to hear your thoughts. I also have other social media. I mentioned my TikTok and all that, even though I know this is a video about trying to reduce scrolling. But If you want to have somebody in your feed that's hopefully a familiar face that'll make you feel good every once in a while, I hope. Whoever you are, I hope you're having an amazing day. Go make something if you can, and touch grass if you can't. I'll see you later. Maybe. Bye! Oh my fucking god, I did it. Why did I do this to myself? Make 5 videos for one day, I said. I'm sure it will be easy to do in a month, I said. I don't even know what funny joke I should put here. Should I start putting blooper reels at the end of my videos? You guys care? See, that's another thing. I'm talking to Schrodinger's audience right now. I don't know if any of y'all are fucking here. I don't know. I could be talking to nobody. In fact, right now I am talking to nobody. I'm alone in my room. Except for Pikachu. This is my #1 fan. Yes, he's always sleeping whenever I'm talking, but it's just because he finds my voice so relaxing, that's all. Anyway. Is that just how I end every video now? I hit a teeth. Oh god. Oh, where's this bin? I shouldn't have done that. Okay.